afternoon. So I literally logged in just in time to catch Chat Garen, which is becoming, like, for this series, like a routine thing, right? Repeatedly doing Chat Garen. Reason being because it effectively feeds my goals. So thus, I'm trying to catch it with some regularity. Today I caught it, but literally logged in as it was taking place, and thus began my stream and video with Chat Garen at 50% or wherever it was, and picked it up from there. So weird introduction, weird opening, with this guy just kind of rampaging and us doing our thing. But also maybe an appropriate way of starting it out, since it represents well what we're going to do to some degree from this point forward, because we're gradually running out of unique things that we're going to be doing to advance our goals, and increasingly we're going to be seeing more and more repetition of doing the same things over and over. However, when it comes to the unique things, something that I do hope to hit here shortly, once we get through Chat Garen, and of course the long wait for the loot from Chat Garen, and then get through an Octavine, will be a little bit more advancement of Season 3, so that we know that we'll be able to get the mastery that we want there, which is, let's go to it real quick, Spectral Aid, right here. So we'll advance Season 3 a tiny bit more to facilitate that, and then I think I would like to hit some group content today, either dungeons or low-level fractals, but also probably going to at least initially start Season 4 today, because we have to start that at some point, knowing that it's going to constitute a significant amount of time. Working on Skyscale is going to constitute a significant amount of time. It may be that and the agony resistance we need, you know, and the ascended weapons put it in, are probably going to represent our greatest time sinks remaining at this point. So I assume the other lanes were good. Now I'm not so sure. I'm wondering if I should go to another lane. Am I wasting my time if I do that? We'll see. Let's do it, because it's boring if I stand around in one place anyway. Maybe Tommy was napping because she's dying. Which she is. And really in Season 3, that's not a major talking point. Season 4, it comes up briefly. In fact, I think it's Chapter 4, Season 4. And then in End of Dragons, it's discussed again, but in End of Dragons, it is seemingly, like, resolved.
I don't suppose
Or not resolved, but her demise is delayed in some way, so I am interested to see as we go forward with, like, the other Living World seasons and so forth, what that actually means. Because I feel like when it comes to narrative, you need to keep your promises. And yes, Timey dying would be a negative promise, but just the same, like, that's what it is. So, like, you know, as a narrative writer, or, you know, a storyteller, you wouldn't. Actually, I don't know why. Well, I'll keep that until I'm done looting, because I think it has magic found. Yeah, sure. You know, it's, who is it? Was it Pushkin that said if you introduce something in the story, then it needs to be relevant? Like, you need to do something with it. I think it was, like, Pushkin's gun or something like that. If you introduce a gun into the story, the gun must be fired, right? If you introduce a, ultimately fatal disease to one of your main characters, it needs to ultimately be fatal. Alright. Awesome. So let's go get some stuff. And I'm really happy to see that. So we're definitely going to need to get some more mastery points. I did get 2 more today. When I logged in to do my dailies today, I did. One of them was Forager in Heart of Maguma. So I came to this map to do my Heart of Maguma Forager, and there was a group doing Fine-Tooth Prime. I was like, they're already doing it. I might as well, join them. And so I got a mastery point for doing Fine-Tooth Prime for the first time on this account. And then there was another mastery point that was just hanging out, waiting for me to jump up to a bunny and grab it. So I did that one. So even though I was only on earlier today for about 20 minutes taking care of dailies on this account, which I've started doing, off screen, I've started doing my dailies. I also ended up getting 2 master points real quick. So that helped us out, because we're going to be down to 7 by the time we get Spectral Aid. So when we come back to things like, gliding, which I think is the only other one we're waiting on. Oh, and New Hawk Wallows. We're still going to need some more master points. So getting a couple of them was helpful. But in theory,
there you are.
30 minutes from now, we should be about done with all story except season 4, and then we'll just that'll be our
much of a leader lately. I don't know how
active
you do
story
it.
pretty
You
much for
have
the
a whole
duration of this
kingdom
playthrough.
to worry about, while I can't even manage to keep a handful of people driving toward one purpose.
Yeah, you do
It's a
suck,
fine
Commander.
task, but
It is
to be
true.
honest, sometimes I envy what must be the simplicity of your life. This place is all politics and subtext. Do a thing one person likes and 3 hate you for it. It can get very complicated. You just relentlessly smash things until they're no longer at odds with you. I wish it were like that around here sometimes.
Well, what can I smash for you today?
So
I believe a
the
white
commander
mantle
is not
attacks
only
innate and must take certain actions here in Divinity's
like
reach to ensure its
bad at
safety.
some
fact
things
that you're not
and
really
kind of
describing
a
these
piece of garbage,
actions makes
but
me
also
think
kind
you
of
might
dumb
be a
apparently,
little
because
unorthodox.
I mean, like, am I the only one who feels like Queen Jenna really is throwing shade right there?
What do you think of this?
Like, she
guy?
goes direct, like,
It's
we,
lovely,
as the commander,
isn't it?
literally say,
And to preserve such a marvel requires
I'm not
constant
doing a good
maintenance.
job at what I do.
Sometimes weeds
And
creep in,
Queen Jenna
and sometimes
immediately
you must
follows that
eradicate them,
with,
lest your garden become unkempt.
what you
I
do is
see.
easy, what I do
I've
is
called
hard.
the ministers here under the auspices
Which
of
is
a racial
probably
ingathering.
true.
But I
And,
really
within the
do
lore,
what
Queen Jenna is a
some would
fascinating
consider
character. There's
shocking
all
news.
kinds of,
Your
like,
presence
speculation
here will
around
go a long
various
way to
aspects.
ease mine.
And it's speculation
So
driven by
please,
things that are
move
very
on.
specifically in the game.
And also, keep an eye out. Any evidence of
but,
white mantle meddlings you
To
find
come back to
will
the general
support
idea,
my
like,
actions.
I
I'll
100% think
do
she's
some
throwing
digging.
shade there.
And Your
And
Majesty, you must
the
leave
commander
here.
apparently, like, laughs it off. Either laughs it off or laughs at the
That looks
joke
like
because
one.
she doesn't
But it's
understand that the
actually
joke's on
Cretan
her.
spiderwort.
Which seems
It'll
very
bloom
possible.
soon, and its petals give you the most.
So this is one of my favorite parts. So a minute ago I was complaining, like rampaging about, screeching even, about something they did in the story. This is one of my favorite parts in the story.
Ministers and members of the royal court.
Every now and
For
then
years, we've had a festa
they brush
inside
up
the
against the
kingdom.
ability
A
to
creeping
do
undertow that sucked some
really
of our
subtle,
friends and
interesting
family
things
into
that
its
are
darkness.
relevant to like
Now,
our actual
with
world,
Confessor
and I
Caiaphas
enjoy
at
that.
the White
And they do it
Mantle's
every
helm.
now and then,
This seething conflict
whether
will soon
accidentally
come
or on
to a
purpose,
head,
they do it,
as we are poised
and
to
it's
be
not
smashed
preachy.
between two rising
It's
elder
just interesting.
dragons. We cannot stand
And that
for
is what we're
threats from
seeing
within.
here,
For
much
this
like we
reason,
brushed up
I'm
against it in
hereby
Heart of
suspending
Thorns,
the ministry
but
until
then
the danger has passed.
it just goes
Some of
away.
you will understand
So she just
for
said,
your
I'm
safety.
suspending the ministry
Others will
until the
understand
danger
that
is
I have
past.
trapped
So
them
she's
here,
declaring martial law.
far from the White
She has
Mantle's
suspended the
network.
democratic process in Kryta. And someone here is standing up against that, as he should, in theory. If you're an American, you'd be saying, oh well, yeah, he is right to stand up against this. She is wrong to actually do this.
Only until the kingdom is safe from attack and the
Now,
traitors in our midst have
depending on
revealed
where you're from in the
themselves.
world,
The commander has already
if you're from China, this is all nonsense because you'd be. The idea of a democracy is completely foreign to modern China. So, this is like irrelevant. But so let's keep an eye on this guy because I am curious if he turns out to actually be Shining Blade or not, or not Shining Blade, but White Mantle.
When my grandfather.
What's up, buddy? Are you a good guy or a bad guy? Alright, he's running away. And he hides. So he is not White Mantle. He is a dude who believed something that we should probably... There I go, using my stun break when I don't need to. Just because I need the life force, and in that case, I don't even think I needed the life force. Oh. Ah. Oh, too late. Something attacked me. But... What? I need to get stealth detection. I don't even think that was on my list of goals, though, was it? So I would have loved, just like I would have loved for them to do more with the whole Sylvari as some kind of, you know... I would have loved for them to do more with Sylvari in Heart of Thorns and examined, like, how other races interact with them and so forth. I would also would have loved for... Man. I would have loved for them to examine the consequences of Queen Jenna literally, like, suspending her entire government as, like, some sort of emergency action.
There are some defenses ready to set up right outside the chamber. Quickly!
Which the story continues, so the story doesn't end now. And so I suppose the player can make their own assessment and be like, well, clearly that was necessary. Which I assume is what the conclusion that the studio would want us to come to, because what they never do is make any sort of suggestion of, like, a negative consequence for this. But, like, I feel, you know, so the door should be open for some kind of negative consequence, because essentially what Jenna has done, for better or for worse, is she has made herself an autocrat. Generally, historically speaking, when we see someone take an ostensibly democratic society and subvert that and make themselves an autocrat, usually we see some negative consequences associated with that. If not for them, usually for them, but if not for them, then certainly for their nation. I assume we're not going to hear, because remember, this was Season 3. And then there was Season 4, and then there was Icebrood Saga, and now we're getting ready to enter what is, practically speaking, Season 6. So, the fact that we've not seen any consequence of this, and it has been in the game and in real life several years now, I think we can assume we are never going to see a negative consequence of this. So that kind of stands in contrast to the way real life generally works. And I would have enjoyed it if there had been some consequences. Even if you feel, hey, Jenna is justified in her actions, you know, and certainly there's precedent for that as well, right? There where people make a decision like that, but then there are, you know, and we have some of that happening in the world right now. I don't necessarily want to go into that right at this moment, but, you know, where maybe it's necessary to do something like that, but then there are naturally challenges that exist within that society and within that government because of those actions. And there are people who are going to be opposed because of the potential for abuse. Whether or not that abuse is actively taking place, are you still obligated to oppose the autocracy because of the potential alone for abuse? Again, the American perspective is yes. The American perspective is that we always have to oppose that. It is tyranny in principle, whether it is tyranny in practice or not. So they could have done something cool there, and they did do something cool. We just never see it, like, I'm on fire. We never see it necessarily follow through to the degree that I would have liked. I'm not saying they did a bad job. In fact, I do not believe they did a bad job. I think that they had the option or the potential to do a lot more. Maybe they didn't realize that, or maybe they just didn't want to deal with it, and they didn't do it.
Where's Canuck? I thought he was with you.
Amnoon, collecting his winnings.
So of all these, of all the characters that we've spent a bunch of time with,
speaking of which, we got a plan
and
for when we do
now
catch
we
up
no
to the
longer
Purple
need to,
Menace.
and I'm curious whether or not
I'm hoping timeless
they're going,
research turns up.
they being the studios, you know, the narrative writers are going to keep them relevant. I think Canuck is the one I wonder about the most. Because I think he is a character that the players would love to continue to see come in and out of the story in like little bits and pieces. Not necessarily as a main character, but kind of come in and out. But it would also, of all the characters, I think be the most inconsistent with,
This is why
like,
I brought Scruffy. I'll have him run a scan.
inconsistent with who he is. Like
Gonna
maybe
go get a closer look.
now that he like kind of has his thing, so he's completely
I was
released
afraid of something like this.
from
We only handed an elder
like all of his
dragon
obligations
to the
associated
god.
with his criminal
What
past
you
and
go
making it up to you know, the Crichton
Go for it.
crown and all this stuff. So that's all done. And he really doesn't have any more obligations to the commander, and now he's got like his casino business, or oh, why am I walking? He's got a casino business and whatnot. And it seems like it's more consistent with his personality to not
Those people are trapped inside that crystal. We gotta
to
get
not
out.
continue to tag along with the commander. So while he's one of the more likable characters, and probably would be a character that I think people would be happy to see more of in the story, I don't know that it's the right thing for his character. In fact, I think it's the wrong thing for his character. What I ultimately, to be on at a personal level, I don't want to see any of the characters anymore at all. To be real honest, we don't need it.
Was that
We got plenty of Casimir and Marjorie and Timey. We didn't get enough of Blish, sadly, but you know he wasn't part of that main group anyway. We've got plenty of the characters that they designed for us, you know, Rox and Bram. Let's get to something different. And while like Gorick was introduced pretty late, and maybe there's like some room for like Gorick to stick around or something, we don't need that either. Not when they can do like, you know, the story is at a new point that it's never been in Guild Wars 2 history. In the sense that it is no longer reliant on all the things that it used to be. With, you know, with the dragons now gone and all that business.
Where are these elementals?
So
Get these people out of here.
there's no better time to start the commander out with a completely new cast of characters in terms of allies and foils. Not to be confused with enemies, but like really that's something the commander could really use, is like a good foil. That's not a adversary. That's just a kind of a different. You know, like imagine if Tyria had an alternative to the commander. That'd be great, right? And I really, like, I would love to see that. And, you know, they played with it in Icebrood Saga. And I think they did, like, a good job. I'm never going to be 100% happy with their storytelling because I'm a jerk. But they did a pretty good job with the idea of another dragon champion kind of thing going on. And they, you know, and they do it in End of Dragons too with June, right? Because June is, in a sense, is also a foil. If anything, in a way, more so than Banger or Ryland were. Because Banger and Ryland were aspiring. Oh, if I had hurried a little bit better, I would have got shit. They were aspiring towards something, but ultimately were getting used. Whereas June was not really being used. Like, she successfully functioned as a dragon champion, just albeit in a different way than we do, because, you know, she was she didn't, you know, the relationship was different, but still every bit, you know, as much a relationship as ours is with Ellie. So they have dabbled with that a few times, but it'd be nice to see a world that's not so reliant on the commander. And then, what does it mean to be a hero? What does it mean to be the commander at that point? That'd be cool.
Thought I'd be happy to see so many Cavaliers around the city.
Raheem's recruitment drive has really paid off.
Shut up. Yeah. This is where we're going to end it today. So, tomorrow, we will start out by... Will we start out by heading right into Istan? That will be available for us. I'm not going to promise that we're going to start out by heading right into Istan. The truth is, maybe I don't want to. We do have business to take care of in the Silver Waste. We can always do more fractals, more dungeons, which we should. But for today, we are now up to 29 mastery points, which is actually pretty good. We did make some progress on mastery today. We are at 28 hours, 7 minutes. So we are now, our masteries are now up over our time played again. I don't expect that to continue. Although maybe it could. Maybe we can hit 100 mastery points in under 100 hours. But I feel like with some things like advanced gliding, the amount of time it's going to take, that's a big ass. We'll see. So that's where we're at on the masteries. Where are we at on gold? We're at about 50 gold because we can assume... let's see here. Yeah, we got 51 silver there, and I'm going to sell some of this stuff. Not bad. Not bad. 29 mastery, 50 gold, a little under 30 hours. That is very low gold per hour. Pretty good on the masteries, and the reason it's low gold per hour is because we've done a lot of story thus far. And I'm not a gold per hour type person. 100% not my thing. I don't find that enjoyable. I don't find min-maxing any aspect of the game enjoyable, whether it's generating gold or what my build is or anything. Like, I prefer to just relax and enjoy the game. But we are doing well at achieving our goals. If we actually look at the individual masteries, got a ways to go here, although we're getting there. We're getting there, but these 2 experience bars require a lot of experience. On the Heart of Thorn stuff, got a long ways to go on gliding. We don't need anything else on Itzel. We don't need anything else on Exalted. We're going to finish up New Hawk Wallows. Stealth detection is nice, but it wasn't on our list of goals. New Hawk Wallows is. We're going to finish up New Hawk Wallows. We're nearly done with Spectral Aid. We do need to do some more Heart of Thorns type stuff to generate experience there, but we got a lot of Heart of Thorns stuff to do here anyway, so lots of chat, Garrett and Octavan. And we need to do some Dragon Stand as well for that. On our mounts, we got a lot of work to do. But now that we're doing Season 4, we're going to make some progress there. In fact, we just saw a decent chunk of experience on Fortified Descent here as we start to work on Springer. Ice Fruit Saga, we're done. We got what we want, which was our Electromagnetic Pulse. End of Dragons, we got what we want. No, we don't. We're still working on Jade Tech Waypoint. So at some point, we got to wander our ass back down to Cantha and farm some more experience points. But we got the master points for it, so we're in pretty good shape. And Ascended Gear, we don't have any yet, so we got some work to do there as well. Alright, we'll continue to do a little bit of work on it tomorrow. In the meantime, have a good evening. Get yourself a snack. I'm going to do the same.